Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Stockradar Stocks on the Move for another week. Today's date is the 6th of November 2025. My name is Richard Lee and I manage the stockradar.com.au website for you. Okay, trading success, the key focus. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in trading tactics later on. You want to climb to the top of Mount Fuji, these are the sort of things we've got to do. It's a very simple thing that we'll talk about a bit later on. Okay, we're sticking with the strength at the moment. A lot of stocks have gone from very bad in the top 50. Stocks like CSL, Sonic Health, WiseTech, ASX, James Hardie, Woolworths, Computershare, QBE, Reece, Rare, all not doing very well at all, but there are some stocks doing well, and they're the ones that we concentrate on, the ones that stocks are moving in higher highs and higher lows, our simple trend filter. Also stocks like JB Hi-Fi, Pro Medicus, Darlings, it's also starting to falter, so we're going to be a bit careful. So what we might go straight into is the trend intensity ratings, as the top 10 for a start. A little bit of a mixed group. Now we had a bit of a wobble day yesterday, we have a little pick up today. Yesterday was a bit of a wobble. You know, one day, 1 week does not make a market. We look for the high highs, high lows, lower highs if we're looking for trends, okay? So, and we look for it on a weekly basis. So we don't have to worry about too much with the day because the trends have been up primarily. Top 10 trend intensity ratings, Fortescue, Ventia, Sandfire, Hub, Pilbara Minerals, which you can see there, we'll have a look at that a bit later on. Paladin came back a bit yesterday, I know, volatile stock. Mineral Resources, Challenger doing well, Orica doing well, GDG doing very well also. So they're the top 10 at the moment. Again, a little bit of a mixed bunch, but they're the ones that are performing pretty well. If we go to the ratings, we can see this week we lost 8 stocks, quite a few. We're down to 58 stock picks. From 156 covered. So we had 3 new ones in this week. One of them I'm going to show you a bit later on. And 11 out this week. So go to Stockradar, go to the trading centre, see what some of those stocks are out. If they're on your list, be very careful because we are seeing a few stocks fall out. In overseas indices looking very good, which we'll look at in a second. But our market's got a little bit flat the last month or two. So we've got to watch out that we don't have that tech thing that they've got, which is driving everything so fast at the moment. We've got a lot of stocks. The mines came back a bit yesterday. The banks are sort of flattening out for a little bit. So we're just having a little bit of a pause at the moment. Okay, firstly, let's go into the overseas markets for now and look at the Dow Jones. Okay, firstly, trend is up, no problem there. A bit of a wobble this week, back up again last night. So we'll be back up again today. S&P is similar. You can see it's a nice little underlying trend here since June. In fact, it's really been rallying since April this year. So April through to October to November, I should say. So the trend has been up since then. Fairly long and extensive trend, a very, very steady trend. Okay, Nasdaq has even been more so. Kicking higher pretty strongly, a bit more vertical than the other two, but still doing very well. Volumes are good, momentums are good again, so we're not too worried about these markets at the moment. Again, the 1 day, the 1 week doesn't matter to me too much. I'm really looking for those trends in prices. When I look at markets going up, I wait for that high low thing to develop, and when the markets come down, I look for that lower high, low thing to develop. I'm never going to try and get a top or a bottom because that's not what you can do. You don't do that. If you do that, you're trying to have a stab in the dark, which is not really what you want to do. You've got to build the evidence, and that's what I always do. So for those stocks, those indices at the moment, they look fine to me. Don't worry too much about the 1 day, 1 week moves. Our market, well, a different picture. Okay, so we don't worry about it, but we look at it because it's a little bit more flat. Hasn't had a high since it made a high back here in August. We tried a little bit here, we failed, so we're going to come back and test a bit of support. We might be up a bit today. We'll see what happens. Volumes, momentum's still pretty high in the scale. It's slowed a bit, the uptrend slowed, which it has done. So we're a little bit wary, but for the moment, it still looks okay. The trend is still strong and still up. Gold, well, it's had a bit of a selling wave. It's come back a bit, but in the scheme of things, it's looking still pretty strong considering where we came from, right back down here around 2,000, even below there, and it's now been up to 4,200, a bit more than that. So huge rally there. This pullback here again, it's a few weeks down. There's no lower high situation at the moment, so we still call this trend up for the moment, and it's still above the average. Volumes are okay. Has been a bit of selling, which is fine. Momentum's still high on the scale, so the chart looks okay. We've just had a little bit of a weakness over the last couple of weeks. Copper, well, it's struggling at around this sort of area here. We've got the 3 clear resistance levels here. This spike up was a bit of an aberration, but we're really having a bit of struggle around here. We can see it's come back a bit. volumes haven't been monstrous here, so there's not a huge amount of interest there at the moment, or people just don't know what copper's going to do, so they're not playing the game so much. But it's trying to test the highs here, but it's not surprising it hasn't been able to get through this time for the moment. Then we've got Brent crude also, which is sliding down the scale ever and ever and ever. It's just dropping. So really we can't do much about that. It's just making new lows all the time on Brent crude. Okay, so let's go to some stocks now. That's the stock account portfolios are pretty full. We've had a few wobble in and out of those portfolios at the moment. The overseas markets are all strong, but our stock market, well, it's changed the shape a little bit. Banks are a bit slow down, although they're up at their highs. We'll look at Westpac a bit later on. The miners have been rallying a bit. They've had a brief pause, and there's some stocks falling by the wayside, as we know. The CSLs, the WiseTechs, the ASXs, a few of those, which aren't doing very well. So let's focus on the good ones, the ones that we have, which are the ones following high highs and high lows. Firstly, Challenger, which had a nice little breakout from a lengthy trend here back in May this year, but it's had a nice steady rise. And you can see there's 1, 2, 3 big weeks which have been down. This one's one of them at this stage, but that really hasn't made any dent on the uptrend here. Trend intensity rating is still 10 after last week, above the average. Volume is okay. If we just spike this up a little bit, we can see good volume all the way through here. And momentum is also high on the scale and steady. So this, you can see the steady uptrend, and that's exactly what this says. It's above zero, but it's flat. So it's not accelerating, it's not decelerating, it's just going ahead nice and steadily, which is what we like to see. So that's Challenger. We've got a little trading range here, which we had here from S1 to S2. Well, I've just extrapolated that up to give me a rough idea of where it might go, but I'm not really I'm not really a targets man. I'm more of a stop loss man that protects the moves when they come down, because we never really know. We can't wait around for targets to be hit if they're not going to be hit. If a stop goes off, then we need to get out. So that's the way I tend to play it. Targets are nice to have, but they're not really all that realistic in my book. Megaport, another one, again came back yesterday, but not too bad. It's still performing pretty well, Megaport. You can see the move here. Spiked that up a bit. Okay, so we had a bit of a down week, down day yesterday, but still we've got this higher lows here, a nice little trend reversal pattern here. Volume has been a bit thin on this one here, so it's a bit harder to read, but still quite positive, really. Green bars here, a couple of red bars here, which are not too much, only sort of 1 week wonders, and momentum is still high on the scale and running fairly steadily. So the trend has been fairly steadily up on Megaport. So we've got a little sort of a, we're trying to push through this area here and move towards R1 at the moment. Trend intensity rating is +9. So just a nice little trend reversal for us to take here. We see volume here, momentum above the average, we get a trend reversal. So it's just a very simple buy with a stop process, and we've been following that high with our stop at the moment. Okay, so the next two charts are going to look at a couple of interesting stocks on the metal side. Mineral Resources, which is well overdue for a recovery, which is doing very nicely. It got to a low of about $14, I think. It is now $44. So it's it doesn't muck around. It moves, this one. So it's come from 90 down to 14, and 14 back up to 44, which is quite amazing. But when we look at the chart itself, if I just blow this up a little bit more, we can just see this great volume through here supporting this rally. Momentum's now kicked above zero and is moving ahead nicely, and it's created this high low scenario at the moment. So it looks good. Mineral Resources, again, it will come back a bit every now and then and shake people out a bit, but really you've got to make sure you focus on the actual trend of what's happening, and we look at the weekly trend, high highs, high lows. Don't get shaken out when you don't need to be shaken out on a 1 week drop or something like that. Okay, so that's Mineral Resources. And fellow miner, Pilbara Minerals, is also looking quite similar as well. It came down from 550, got down to a low of about just above $1. It's created a nice little switch zone here, broke through the average, broke through the downtrend line, and then it created a trend reversal above up here. And we've had a nice little rally since then. Again, came back yesterday, not really a problem. It's still moving higher. Trend intensity rating is 10. All these things here are certainly underpinning this trend, which is a nice move, and it's moved pretty quickly from 110 to nearly $3. So it's had a fairly fast move, like Mineral Resources. So when we get onto these things, they are certainly worthwhile if you can hang in there. Okay, so that's those two stocks, nice ones, Mineral Resources and Pilbara Minerals. Now I just want to go to another little one here, a gold stock, which we followed for a while, on the smaller end, but it's also been a very good performer, West Gold. It broke out of a nice trading range back here, in August or September, I should say, had a very sharp rally. It's hit a bit of selling here, but I've got the stop in place here just so you can see where my stop is. So I'm protecting all these gains here and hopefully giving the market enough time to breathe to make a new high and rally higher. If it doesn't, goes below my stop, I will get out, lock in my profit and move on. So that's where Westgold looks. Trend intensity rating is +8, so it's just had a little bit of a slow down the last couple of weeks. We've had a little bit of selling here, but really in the scheme of things, the buying is monstrous and the momentum is good and it's well above the average. So Westgold Resources still looks fine to me while it holds above that stop loss or our protection level. Okay, so then another little one I've got for you, which is probably come from the low end. We've seen quite a few of these miners start to lift off their lows quite well, and when they do move, they move really nicely, which is good for us because we enjoy this sort of pattern. So this is Champion Iron, I should say. And iron's been an interesting one. I know the African situation has been highlighted a lot for us. There's been quite a few articles written about it. On iron ore prices going down. Well, we don't really know about that. We know that our big producers, Fortescue, BHP, Rio, got very low costs. They'll make money for a while, and I'm sure they'll do quite well. So I'm not too worried about it. And here we've got Champion Iron, which also agrees. It's saying that the price of it's going to go higher. It's had a nice little downtrend here, lower lows, lower highs. Excuse me. And now we've got a nice little base here of support and accumulation. And now it's risen off there and created a nice little trend reversal above about $5. Excuse me. Just a little tickle there. And so it's broken above this reversal level here, the peak between the two lows here. We've got some nice volume coming through here. And as this starts to move through the moving average, downtrend line and trend reversal level, the volume is starting to pick up and also momentum is now starting to move towards zero and above it. So trend intensity rating is still +6 because we're reversing a trend. We're not making a new high. But really, when you look at the scheme of things here, there's probably a fairly good potential on this stock to move back up towards R1 at some stage where the big resistance is, and we'll review the situation if and when it happens to get there and our stop doesn't go off, which we hope will happen. So that's a little one for you to follow and to watch. And if you want to keep updated on where my stop goes, the trading centre is where you need to be to keep an eye on that every week. Okay, so Champion Iron is one to watch. Okay, the other one I'm going to look at is AGL, which we're just following. Again, it had a down week so far this week. Again, all part of the bottoming process. They can be pretty nervous sometimes as the buyers start to creep in here, and the sellers from up here are always looking for an opportunity to knock out some shares and into a rally. So you've got to wait for this sort of balance to come back into the market where the sellers start to disappear and start to finish their selling. The buyers can take control and really start moving the market, and that's what I'm looking for in a trend reversal pattern. So I wait for this buying and selling balance to develop and change, and it doesn't change immediately in most cases. It takes a while to change, and we can see it here. The selling was exhausted here with a maximum selling period there. We've got some good buyers who saw the value here, started to push the price up. They've had enough for the moment, and the sellers have just come back in there, but it's got to the moving average. So it's just a part of the process as we watch and wait and see these things develop. There's no signal for us yet. Still a trend intensity rating of -7. But, interesting developments, and as I would say, it's probably developing the way I would normally see a trend reversal develop. Okay, so that's AGL Energy. We'll see what happens there. The next one, there's other stocks I want to have a look at. One is CSL, which you probably know from members will know that I haven't been involved in this stock for a long period of time because it's been, excuse me, stuck in this trading range for a while. Since about 2020, so about 5 years, really has been trading in this range, struggling up around 320, 340, finding support around 240. But then more recently we saw this development happen here, where we've now got a new lower high. It didn't trade up to the top of the trading range, and we saw a big sell-off here and pushed it right through the lows here. It's come down, rallied back up towards this resistance point, and now the sell-off continues, and we don't know where this is going to stop. So it's just really, a picture tells 1,000 stories. A picture tells it tells you a tale of what's happening, basically, very, very, very quickly and very easily. You can analyse all your fundamentals that you like, and CSL can tell us all these things they're doing with their vaccines and stuff like that. But in the end, the price is going down in lower lows and lower highs, and that's all I really care about when I'm looking to buy or sell a stock. So for me, CSL has not been in the game for a long time and will not be in the game for a long time until it creates a proper trend reversal from lower points. Now, where it comes from, we're 176 now. We've been up to 340, so I don't know if people are still holding the stock or not, but it may well go a lot lower yet before we find a base yet. So CSL certainly is not something that's on my target at the moment. Okay, so that's CSL, just a little one I wanted to point out. Very, very simple picture that just tells you exactly what's happening based on price. Okay, so it clears things up for me very, very easily. Okay, the other one I want to look at is Westpac. Now, we saw ANZ not long ago, after all its bad news, and all of a sudden it just went up and up and up. And of course, Westpac this time, well, the report wasn't as bad as we thought. The dividend wasn't changed much, didn't change at all, hardly. I think maybe went up a cent. So a bit of disappointment there from a lot of people. But really, the stock has rallied strongly this week, despite the market being weak yesterday. It's up on these highs at the moment. Again, we're talking about these highs for a long time. We haven't really broke through them on NAB and ANZ yet, and Westpac is hitting there as well. It may or may not, but we are in a very interesting position, and it's just interesting the sentiment basis when you see a stock like this jump so quickly on a profit report that was probably not as good as a lot of people thought. But it was okay in the end, I think. But still, we hold this stock. We bought this one back here when it went above 33.90, 34. It's now up around $40, so we hold the stock with our stop in place there. So that's Westpac and the banks and how they're looking. So there's a few stocks for you. Again, we don't need to be in a lot of these stocks, whether it be Woolworths or be ASX or James Hardie. They're all going down. We're not interested in any of those stocks. We're interested in the ones that are rallying high highs and high lows, and there are some good stocks there. And I think in the trend intensity there, I have 58 stocks to the 160 that's still in qualified uptrends. Although the 58 did come back from 70, something around about 70 last week. So a little bit of a change there. So it's going to be a little bit careful. Okay, now, I did mention to you at the start of this thing, trading success, one of the keys to focus. Now, I go through a lot of things just to give you some ideas, some fairly simple plan, fairly simple techniques you can use, high highs, high lows, these sorts of things. And we're looking for trading success itself. What I'm going to do in the newsletter, I'm going to expand on this a little bit, but which comes out at the end of this month. Excuse me. So what I want to go to now is this one here. Okay, so right, key focus. Now, so when I'm trading, the main thing to worry about is how I'm behaving, what I'm doing now. I'm not trying to think about what's going to happen, how much money am I going to make, how much money I'm going to lose. Okay, the most important focus is to focus on it's not to focus on the outcome, but focus on the process, okay? The process that I go over this time and time again, follow your trade plan, stick to your guidelines. Don't worry about what's going to happen, the outcome, because you will take a lot of losses. There's no doubt about that. But you've got to make sure those losses are small and their profits are big. Remember the premise we have here, the 4 outcomes of a trade. It can be big profit, small profit, small loss, big loss. We just don't take big losses. We have our risk management gets rid of those, so we bias ourselves towards our profits, and that's what we always do. So with our trade plan, that's what we're trying to do. We're following the guidelines. We're making sure we risk manage every trade, and that will cause our outcome to be come out positively. So the process is always focus on the job at hand, the one that you're doing. Most importantly, the guidelines and steps of your trade plan. Okay, that you set out for yourself. And as I said in the newsletter this month, or the end of this month, I'll outline just some trade plan preparation and some trade plan planning, and how you can go through this process and what to look for, and how to guide yourself through these processes. Focusing on your process, and then you will find the outcome will naturally follow. Okay, and again, there will be losses there, but you've got to keep those losses small and manage those big profits there, which we have, whether it be West Gold Resources or Challenger, whatever it might be. They're the ones that we need to focus on. They're going to make us our money. So the key focus is really to focus on your process, not the outcome. The outcomes is a natural eventuality, evolvement from your processes. Okay, so that's just a little bit of word of wisdom there. When you're doing things, because we all tend to focus, well, how much money am I going to make or lose on this trade? It's not really what you should be doing if you are going to be trading successfully. Okay, so there's my lovely disclaimer. Trading success, the key focus is, so we're all trying to get to the top of Mount Fuji and make lots of money on the way through. So that's all I've got for you today. It's a few stocks there. Again, a little bit of change in the market to come back a bit. It'll be better today. It'll be interesting to see what the miners do today, see how they perform. But again, we're looking for the overall plan is to not focus too much on the shorter term, but focus on the actual trends in market to keep us on the right side of things. So the most important part of the trading process is to be disciplined in following your trade plan, even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. Okay, you'll be surprised how the outcome evolves. Okay, so that's what we don't want to worry about. You just let that happen. Okay. So that's about all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the market's been good to you at the moment. There are good stocks. If you follow Stockradar, you will be on the right side of things, and make sure that you're not stuck in stocks that are going down, because that's not what we do. Okay, so make sure you watch your trends, most importantly. Heed your stops, also importantly. Keep it simple, have fun, stay safe, and I will see you all next week for some more words of wisdom. Okay, thanks very much.